Hello children, we are doing digestion in humans or the digestive system in humans. Okay, we started with the ingestion, taking in of food from the mouth, then the food traveled down the pharynx, the esophagus, it reached the stomach. Then we even did the liver and the gallbladder, pancreas, and from the stomach the food has entered now into the small intestine. The first part of the small intestine is called the jejunum. Duodenum. Then comes the jejunum. And now we are doing the ilium. Okay, the last part of the small intestine, where absorption of food, digestion also takes place, but absorption of food also takes place over here in the small intestine. Now, absorption of digested food in the small intestine. Okay, now the small intestine, when we take a cross section of it, when it is cut, okay, there are some finger-like projections going inside like this. Okay, lots of it in the intestine. Okay, now this is the wall of the intestine, the red. That's the muscular wall of the intestine, and inside these finger-like projections in the lining, in the inner lining of the intestine, these are known as villi. Okay, they look something like this. Okay, now these villi, in plural we call it villi, singular they are known as villus. Okay, now what do these villi do? They increase the area for absorption of food. That's called the surface area. Can you see here also? It can go here. From everywhere, food can be absorbed. That's why it is said villi increase the surface area for absorption of digested food, because now in the small intestine food finally gets digested and it has to be absorbed. Okay, and it is these villi that absorb the digested food. Okay, the villi, they have many blood vessels in it on the surface of the villi. Okay, the surface of the villi, then when digested food passes through the intestine, what does it do? The surface of the villi, they absorb amino acids. Okay, the simplest form of proteins now. Proteins, they have been digested and now they are in the simplest form, that is amino acids. Glucose, simplest form of carbohydrate, glucose from the digested food. So the villi, as the digested food is passing through, what does the villi absorb? The surface of the villi? Amino acids and glucose from the digested food, and it passes it to the blood system. Okay, because I told you there are blood vessels on the surface, so it passes it to the blood system, the amino acids and glucose. Then the fatty acids from the digested food, fats, they are converted into the simplest form of fats, that is fatty acids. The fatty acids, they are again from the digested food, they are taken up by special tubes which are again inside the villi only. It's inside the villi. These are called the lymph vessels. So the lymph vessels take the fatty acids. Now, when we have food, there are minerals and vitamins also in the food. But minerals and vitamins are soluble in water, and they can easily be absorbed by the walls of the intestine only. It is absorbed by the walls of the intestine. Okay. Now, the villi are present in the ilium of the small intestine. Where are they present actually? Ilium. That is the last part of the small intestine, no? Ilium. So, the villi are present over there. Now, the ilium serves what function? Both function of digestion and absorption of digested food. So it is doing both the function of absorption and digestion. First, digestion also takes place, okay? All the remaining food that has not been digested, it gets digested in the small intestine. So digestion is also taking place. At the same time, absorption also of the digested food. The digested food is already taken up by the by the villi. All the food that is taken up, okay, all the digested food. Then the undigested food, the food that is not digested, undigested food, okay, which is the undigested food, then passes on to the next part. Now from the small intestine, it passes on to the next part that is known as the large intestine. This one is the large intestine. Okay, it is 1.5 meter long, this large intestine. Okay, and it has three parts. The first part is known as the cecum, the first part of the large intestine, then the colon, and then colon. Okay, and this part is known as the last part is known as the rectum. So cecum, colon, and the rectum. Now the large intestine they do not secrete any enzymes. Okay, what does the large intestine do? It mainly absorbs water from the undigested food and it turns it into a semi-solid matter. That semi-solid matter, all the way it is absorbing the water, okay, and turns into a semi-solid matter that reaches the rectum. It reaches the rectum, that's semi-solid matter. Okay, now this rectum is the last part of the large intestine. Okay, it is only 15 centimeter long. It stores the undigested matter. That undigested matter is called feces. For some time it stores it. And the rectum then opens on the outside by the anus. Okay, the rectum opens outside at the anus. This last opening is called the anus. The anus again has circular muscles called sphincter muscles. SPHINCTER, sphincter muscles. Okay, these muscles, when they relax, the anus opens and there is elimination or throwing out of the feces. Okay, now the throwing out of the feces from the body, that is known as egestion. EGESTION, egestion. Okay, now here it is. Whatever I told you, it is over here. Okay, so from the small intestine, it passes on to the large intestine. There are three parts in the large intestine. The large intestine is 1.5 meter long. The large intestine is divided into three parts. First part is the cecum, colon, and then the rectum. Large intestines do not secrete any enzymes. No enzymes are secreted over here. But the main function of the large intestine is mainly to absorb water from the undigested food. They go on absorbing the water and turns the undigested food into a semi-solid mass that reaches the rectum. Okay, it reaches the rectum, and rectum is the last part of the large intestine, 15 centimeter long. I told you, stores the undigested food. Now this undigested food, when it reaches the rectum, it is called the feces, and it opens out at the anus. Anus has circular muscles called the sphincter muscles. Okay, when the sphincter muscles relaxes, the anus opens and eliminates the feces. The elimination is called digestion. Thank you.